Hi, I'm Mick Champagne, and here is a little bit about me. You're probably wondering who is this Mick chick. And to start off, I'm half designer. I work on a strategy team on Google Play, which is the app store for Android. And I'm also half illustrator. I have been professionally doodling butts and boobs and farts for about 7 years now, but I'm 100% weird. And the through line in both being a designer and illustrator is really all about my love for connecting people to experiences through visual storytelling and through concept driven design. You could also describe me as a bit of an empath, which generally helps me to do my day job. I'm easily able to slot myself into other people's shoes, but also it kind of naturally lends itself to a lot more worrying and overthinking and being a little bit sensitive. And so, if you're a fellow creative, maybe you can relate to this in some way. This has been my current mood since about November of last year. That's when OpenAI announced the latest release of ChatGPT. And what felt like a little bit of a couple drops, if it were a ketchup bottle, a little bit of a couple drops coming out, then all of a sudden it just started swishing out. And every day it's felt like there's a new tool or a new app coming out, which all feels a little bit dizzying and overwhelming and paralyzing. And every day there's another scary headline about how we'll be made obsolete, how the robots are coming for our jobs, and even some mild threats to our children, I guess. And us as creatives, we're already prone to imposter syndrome, and we've felt understandably a lot more nervous about our own futures and our livelihoods. It sparked a lot of heated debate around ethics and copyright and plagiarism. And if all of that wasn't enough, why not just sprinkle a little bit of existential crisis there right on top? So, oh God, it just felt like that really escalated quickly. And I'm just overwhelmed. I'm also, on a personal note, smack dab in the middle of some burnout. Lately, I've been feeling really uninspired and unmotivated. You've got the, life, work, the state of the world, a pandemic hangover, and yada, yada, yada. It's felt like a lot, but, I am nothing if not an optimist. So I've been trying to rethink about how I could reframe this. And I've been thinking about that old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And I started wondering what would happen if I embraced these new AI overlords. The past couple of months, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about, can creatives harness that fear and anxiety in a productive and meaningful way? How can we be better together? And really, more importantly, can it get me out of this fucking creative block that I'm in? I guess that's a little bit selfish, but I went to ChatGPT and I literally asked it that. Well, okay, maybe not verbatim, and this is where my little designer hat part. Here's some prompt writing 101 if you haven't yet played around with it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to start by setting a persona. So in this case, this was a fun exercise that I'm calling prompt power posing. It's really like writing positive affirmations about myself in third person, and my therapist loves this for me. So if you're familiar with power posing, it's when you go and stand in front of a mirror in the bathroom and you just make yourself bigger and gas yourself up. So this is a way to talk about myself. So I wrote, you are a clever and creative illustrator who excels at drawing witty visual puns. Your work is often funny, but can also be thought provoking. You're a master of the absurd, and you use your art to explore the strange and unexpected. And then you want to give it a little bit more context. So I told it, your work often uses butts, boobs, farts, and memes, and you love to get a laugh out of people. And then lastly, a good prompt will be explicit in the results that it hopes to achieve. So I told it, hey, lately you've been feeling a little burnt out and creatively blocked, and you want to get back into your practice. What are 5 good steps that you can take to help you get back into it? And honestly, its response was really sweet. It said, I understand that creative blocks can be challenging, but don't worry, we'll work together to get you back into your artistic groove. And honestly, anytime I hear the word groove, I always think of this movie, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. So really, here's how I got my AI generated groove back, my artistic groove back. So, step number one was to do something different. It told me when I'm burnt out, it's helpful to try something new. So, I'm like, all right, cool, a little meta, but I'm doing that. And here's just a little spoiler alert for the rest of the talk. All of these steps are AI influenced, or I use AI in some way to generate the ideas. So it gets a little AI inception-y, but just stick with me. Okay, step number two is to explore new themes. It said, consider brainstorming and mind mapping strange and unexpected topics. So thought I'd have ChatGPT do all the heavy lifting for me, and I asked it to give a list of themes on the topic of butts and farts. But you could substitute anything with that. And honestly, it was like pretty much like a veritable goldmine of fartnadoes, fartifacts, and booty bandits. My favorite thing happened to be the flatulent forest, where adorable creatures use their farts to make flowers. And then I used this other AI tool to spit all of that out, which ChatGPT gives you a giant paragraph of stuff. So I'm much more of a visual person, and I wanted to capture all of these great ideas. So I had it stick it out into this mind map for me. For step number three, it told me to collaborate with others to explore new techniques, ideas, and perspectives. And, I thought, why not collaborate with the best of the best? So I saw an opportunity to team up with myself. So I wondered, could I train my own AI model in my style? And the short answer is yes. This is something that I generated. It was one of my early experiments. I trained it on a sample of my drawings of various things. Things I've drawn over the years, a lot of people, animals, food, obviously a lot of butts there. And through a lot of trial and error and prompt fine tuning, these are some of my early generations and experiments. So you can kind of see it's coming through a little bit. But by day three, I was successfully able to mimic my style without much assistance or prompting. A discerning eye will notice some weirdness, but like those AI hands. But I definitely did a double take when it generated. These have like a double eye thing, but for the most part, like I could have sworn up and down that this was mine. This is my drawing. I also really wanted to try it out for that flatulent forest idea, and I like squealed with cuteness. So these were like these little weird Furby animal things that it came up with, and I definitely saw some secret ball holes in there. Okay, step four, practice regularly, which I think we all know creativity is a muscle that only gets better the more you work it out and the more you use it and build it up. So this is a pretty tactical step, but I had that AI tool build me out a whole calendar of all of those themes and ideas. Really, just so I didn't have to think as much and I didn't feel like I was starting from scratch, which I think is also part of the creative block or burnout. So this is, I've done 30-day prompt challenges in the past, and this is really like helping me make my own calendar so that I could be inspired daily. And last, but definitely not least, maybe my favorite, step number five, give yourself permission to play. I think personally, this is a huge part of my creative block. I get really precious about my work, and I just keep raising the bar higher and higher for myself, which makes me not want to do it. I feel like anxious to get back into it. So this was just like a nice reminder from an AI bot, I guess, to allow myself the freedom to make mistakes and enjoy the process and really embrace unexpected outcomes. Because starting out this whole experiment, I honestly had pretty super low expectations, and I've actually been pleasantly surprised about how overjoyed I am with even these results. Like the self-portrait, never in a million years would I have drawn that of myself, but I love how it took it, and it still kind of feels like me. It's also when it comes to conceptual prompts, been pretty hit or miss. Humor and puns, I would definitely say, are not its strong suit, and maybe where us as humans still have the upper hand in the way that we can, make more of these connections and have a lot more personality. But the overwhelming feeling, weirdly, isn't that of fear or anxiety like I thought it would be. But I'm a lot more surprised that it's more the feeling is joy and excitement. Every time I generate a new image, I get excited to see how it's going to interpret my prompt. For instance, I asked it to draw a topiary shaped like a poodle. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get this, giant bush shape, like cut in the shape of a dog, but I was not expecting some like weird doggy style stuff here. But like, hey, I was also like okay with that. And my biggest takeaways have been one, just how inspiring it is to see what ideas it comes up with and how I can use those as a starting point. And two, how I can evolve my own style. You know, my work has always been pretty simple line work, which isn't easy, but this is literally showing me how I can play with texture and color and shape in like all new ways. And that's all to say, I also haven't even started playing with that other slice of that giant AI pie chart of tools that include things like videos. So there are lots and lots of possibilities out there. So, to, just kind of wrap it all up like Jerry Springer's final thoughts. That's a weird callback, but it's whatever. I definitely think this has been a fun experiment to find new ways to get over my creative block. But more broadly, I think reframing generative AI to be a collaborator and not necessarily the enemy is the right move. And maybe the real treasure is the AI friends that I made along the way, or at the very least, kissing their ass until they take over the world. So, this has been how I learned to stop worrying and love the AI overlords.